So you guys were I'm hearing a lot of you guys wanted the theme song shortened, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that, and when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So, it's shorter. There you go. CrazyCatLady or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair educational for and entertainment purpose. It's like it's all they did. Well, those years ago. See? No, I don't want to do any more of it.
One of the steps into the future for us is how can traditional animation and CG animation blend on the screen so that you believe they're part of the same character. Well, to test this out, we went to the past. We took a look at some animation that really had a lot of vibrancy and life to it. And the challenge was, could we take a CG element and put it onto that and see if it could still carry the same emotion, the same acting? Well, that's what you're going to see now.
You will go ashore, pick up Tinkerbell, and bring her to me. You will go ashore, pick up Tinkerbell, and bring her to me. You will go ashore, pick up Tinkerbell, and bring her to me.
So, did you guys enjoy that little test model of when they decided to make Long John Silver not him just losing his leg like he does in the book in the old Disney movie? No, he has his arm, his leg, his eye, and his ear missing. But since he is animated differently, most of his body, because his second part of it, like his all his no parts of him that are still attached to him are not robots. Body parts are 2D, while his 2D, robot parts are actually 3D images. So, since he is one of the main characters, you have to make his robot parts look like they're 2D, but they're not. Basically the same exact thing they did to the Iron Giant, where you think that the character that's on the screen is 2D, hand-drawn, but they're not. So that's basically why they're showing that. They're showing you how they put a 3D image on top of a 2D character using Captain Hook. And I remember seeing that on the special features of the DVD, so I put that on here to show you guys how did they do that. and that's what I wanted to do. Now for this talk about the review on this movie, which, yes, sadly this movie did not make back its money at the box office. It bombed. It's one of the biggest bombs of Disney. Now, bombs don't mean that the movie's bad, mind you. That means that this didn't make its money back. It's still a good movie. I love this movie. It's not one of my favorite ones, but I still love it. If I had to compare it to the one that came out a long time ago, one of Disney's first movies, live action movies, The Treasure Island, and compared to the book, this one's pretty good. I would still think the book's better, as usual. It's been on since I read the book, but I think it's pretty accurate to the book. There's a couple things that are different, like, for example, that Long John Silver is missing too many limbs. In the book, he's only missing his leg. Jim Hawkins a lot older in this movie than he is here. I'm pretty sure he is like 10 or 12 in the book. Here, he's at least 16. The fact that it also does not, it takes place in space. It's a different setting. Since I've been watching that Skeleton Crew show, I wanted to watch this or The Goonies. Next week I'll probably watch The Goonies, and also because The Goonies is now 40 years old. But I wanted to watch this one first, because it's been a while since I watched it. So the story starts with Jim, when he's about like 3 years old or 4 years old, reading a book version of Captain Flynn, and Flynn's the one who left the treasure on the island / planet in this movie. After he goes plungers all of the every ship that he comes across, and then puts all the treasure he gets onto a hidden place where nobody can find it. Too much so that it's a legend. And he stays up all night listening to Tony J, the narrator, during this beginning of it, talk about it. And his mom comes in the middle of it and tells him, "Okay, now go to sleep. Stop reading all night long." And then there he goes to sleep. He gets up again and then tries to read the book again. Then we have a time skip for 12 years, and we see Jim Hawkins riding a hoverboard with a glider. Anybody get a Back to the Future 2 vibe from this, right? Marty J. Fly, eat your heart out. You cannot not do that. Right, J. Fox? So yeah, and I do like the little trip that he has here where he doing all the tricks on his hoverboard, and he goes through the little turn wheel that about to bite him and lives. But he gets into trouble for doing that by the robot cops. His mom's is giving people food at her restaurant / inn with Dr. Dillibird there, and asking how Jim is doing, and she says he's in trouble a couple times, but I'm pretty sure he's turning a new turn where he's gonna be better this time rest of the year. And right when she says that, he comes home being held by the cops, and he says one more time where he's in trouble, he's off to Jubilee. They took away his hoverboard away from him, and they pounded it. So he goes up there and hears his mom saying, "I want to go back to the day where he was asking for a new pet next, and to keep it." And her girls are bringing up the fact that he's never been the same since his dad left him. That's right. Most Disney movies have it where the mom or the dad is dead, but this one is probably way more personal out there, because in the book, Jim's dad was dead. He died at sea, but they did change it here where he abandoned him and never returned. He's basically the dad who went to go and buy a pack of cigarettes and never came back. That's basically what he is. And Jim's never been right since he's never had a real father. So he's been misbehaving, acting out because he's never had it, because his dad's has not been there for him for most of his life. And this is when Billy Bones, the one who in the book gets the black spot, which in Pirates Speeches for Death, who steals the map from Long John Silver and gives it to Jim. But they don't even show the black spot in this part of the movie. He just dies from his injuries and gives it. Right before that, he tells him, "Beware of the cyborg." Book it's beware of the man with one leg. And then he kills over. Long John Silver finds them with the rest of the pirates and destroys the restaurant, while Jim's mom and Jim and Dr. Dillamod go back to Dillamod's house, and they figure out, what should we do with this treasure map? Well, none of them can. Dillamod or his mom cannot get the map to work to cooperate. So Jim is just fooling around with a ball. Eventually, the map opens, and they figure out what it goes in. Dillamod names them all the planet stars on the way there, and then all of a sudden they see the treasure planet. The mom says, "No, you cannot go. You're both grounded." And eventually they both were able to convince her to let him go. Mostly so Jim can maybe stop misbehaving from this little venture and learn what's true and what's important in his life and him gain a future. And also to get back the money in order to rebuild the restaurant. And so that's what they're going to go do. Both Tim and Dillamon go to the planet that is like shaped like a crest moon and get going on the ship where they have the captain, who's a cat, an alien cat in this version. And we have Captain Arrow, who is one that usually dies. And he does die in this movie, which is good, which is accurate, unlike Muppet Treasure Island, where they couldn't kill Sam the Eagle. And so once they start the ship, before they start the ship, they try to tell the captain about the treasure map, and she takes them to the captain quarters and tells them not to tell anybody about the map. They take away the map from Jim, and then tell Jim that you're gonna go be the cabin boy for the cook. And this is when we meet Long John Silver for real. And yep, knowing that they have to, every single time he's on screen, they have to put how many 3D objects there? His arm, his ear, his eye, and his leg as 3D objects. And the animation on him is really good. I think it's like one of the best ones that they do for this whole entire movie. He's like, the way they do his animation's the best in this movie. I like it. I kind of wish they would still do this nowadays. They would probably, like, I don't know, have like a 2D character like into their. That's one thing I liked about Inside Out 2, is that they put two different characters. They're not really in it that much, but they are animated differently from the other characters. They don't do that much often now, where they have a character that looks so cool every time they're on screen, and you're like wondering, how the hell did they do that? And watching him do his little cookie mood until he makes a soup, that's a cool animation. And they find out that Jim has to be a cabin boy. They're not happy about it, and he lets him go and watch the ship go off. But then he does, after the ship goes off, he does a silly joke where, I'd like to meet two friends of mine, Jimbo. Say hello, Mr. Mop and Mrs. Bucket. And when he's mopping, he overhears one of the pirates talking, and the lobster monster guy comes over. Scroop friends him. Long John Silver comes and saves him, and Mr. Arrow says, no fighting on the brig, or you'll be found to the jail cell, basically, for the rest of the voyage. Then they all go down to the bottom of the ship, and Long John Silver says, no more trying to pick a fight with Jim. We need to lay low until we find out where the treasure is. But Scroop says the boy has been snooping, and he says, don't worry, I'll keep the boy busy, which he does. But he comes like a father figure to Jim. We see like a little montage where he's like showing helping him clean stuff and how to do a bunch of stuff after he finds out from Jim that his dad was never there for him. He's acting, didn't your dad teach you how to pick your fights? And he says, nope, my dad left me. And him teaching all this, like teach him how to tie a knot properly, how to have the spare ship be untied, how to clean, and how to set the sails and stuff like that. All the stuff that he needs to do to be a cabin boy. And then we have a song playing in the background. Tell Me Who I Am by I'm Still Here by the Goo Goo Dolls. I did like this one. Maybe does not have that much songs in it, but this is like a good part of him remembering his dad leaving him and how hard it was for him, and leaving his mom to raise him. And after this, we have where he asks him, "How did you lose all your finger? How did you lose all those limbs?" And he says, sometimes you sacrifice things for your dreams." He asks, "Was it worth it?" We'll find out. And they're at the part where there is a black hole or supernova, which is when a star or a sun dies, and it can go kaboom and fires, but this time around it turns into a black hole, And while they're trying to get out of there and get out safely to get to the planet, the captain tells Jim to make sure everybody's secure so they can use one of the last waves to get out of there. And while this is all going on, Scrope cuts the rope for Mr. Arrow, and Mr. Arrow goes away, and Jim thinks that it's his fault why Mr. Arrow dies, because the rope was not secure, but we all know that it was Scrope who cut his line. Then the next day, we learn that after that Long John Silver comforts him and tells him that it wasn't his fault what happened to Mr. Arrow. And he says, you still got feeling greatness to you. And he says, go to sleep. And I have to be careful that they don't think I'm going soft on this boy. And Scrope heard him say this to the boy and tries to use it against him to take over the crew and have them fight now. Jim hears him saying that I don't care about that boy. And now Jim no longer trusts Silver, and Jim tries to get out of there, and then Silver knows that he was listening, heard him, and he runs to go and tells the captain and Dilamod what happened. They end up going to, and they end up leaving, and they try to take the map with them, but Morse leaves the map behind. And he's just playing around being a silly animal. After they land, then Jim finds out what happened, that they left the map behind. They had to go back on the ship to have the map in order to get out and find out what the treasure is. The captain was hit, so she's hurt, and Dr. Dilmon has to try to treat her and tells her to stop giving orders. And Jim scouts ahead, and find Ben, who was, I think in the book, was an old hermit that was left behind, that survived old Flynn, because in the book Flynn kills all his men and dies on the planet, on the island, and Flynn's and Ben's the only one that's still alive. So, and he knows that there was a booby trap where the treasure is, that nobody could come and steal his treasure. Stop anybody from telling him. He took his memory banks. I think in the book he has like amnesia or something like that. That's how you get around it. And amnesia just take away his memory banks, and he takes him to where they're staying, and he helps them sneak out after him and Silver try to have a talk about giving the map, because Silver still thinks that he has the map, and he says you give me the map, you can have even portion the treasure is yours. But he says, nope, I'd rather go and get the treasure myself and not share it with you. By thunder. And F goes back to the ship after Ben shows him a way out by accident, because the captain needs to be quiet, and also for Jen to think what to do. And he goes back to go and get the map and disable the cannons. But Scrope is still there, and it's up to Jim to beat Scrope by Ben accidentally unleashing the gravity, and he floats out of the way while he's trying to kill Jim and make him go like the same exact way he killed Mr. Arrow by cutting the rope. But he ends up getting cut instead and flies with the flag, and Scrope dies. Yay! So he grabs the map and heads back, and he goes back the way he came in. But it turns out that Silver figures out how he got out of the little cave that he was hiding in, and goes in the same way that Jim got out, and makes Jim unscribble the map because he can't figure it out. But Jim says, you're taking us with you if you want me to show you how to take the map with you. But when they get to where the treasure's at, they trigger the booby trap by stepping on the line, and which destroys the treasure trove. And Jim tries to take a spare ship with him that has a bunch of treasure on it, and Flynn's body's there and it's holding Ben's body, and Ben tells him about the booby trap once his memory bank gets put back into him. But some of the pirates get killed, and Jim also almost dies when he gets on pieces of the trap getting unleashed, and Silver chooses to save Jim over losing the rest of the treasure. He did grab a little bit of it and put it in his pocket, but that was it. But at the very end of the movie, he gives that back to Jim, so his mom can rebuild the end. But now this planet's gonna go kaboom. They have to figure out a way to get out of there before it goes kaboom. Jim uses some parts of the ship to make his hoverboard to go back to where there was a triangle thing in order to show, because it showed you guys how Flynn got to each ship and brought it back to this planet without nobody noticing, and that he used his teleporter order to do that really fast that nobody would know where he is. And eventually he finds a button that shows where the Crescent Moon planet is, and he goes back on the hoverboard to press that planet while the planet is going kaboom behind him, and they get out of there just in time. And the movie, and then Silver sneaks away while they're all celebrating that they survive. And instead of letting, and Jim follows him, instead of turning him, and he lets him go. And this is when he gives him the money to the treasure to help him with his mom's end, since it was Silver's fault that the end got blown up in the first place, so he's paid for it. But he did offer Jim to come with them, but Jim turned him down because he wants to be able to be great on his own terms, because that's what Silver told him. And the movie ends with him becoming honored for what he did, and him having a haircut. So I do like this movie. I'm probably going to give it an 8 out of 10. I really wish that it made it back its money. Then we would have a second treasure island out there, treasure planet. So, because there is in the Disney Vault, there's papers of animations of the second treasure planet that never got to happen because this one bombed and it didn't make back its money. So let's find out who directed it and which actors are in it. First off, we got Ben Schwartz to play Ben, Joseph Gordon-Levitt who played Jim, Brian Murphy who played Long John Silver, Emma Thompson who played the captain, and Dillamon is played by David Harrison Peace. Now for the director, we got John Moscow and Ron Clements as directors. The same exact one who did Aladdin, Hercules, and Princess and the Frog. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys later. Like, favorite, and subscribe. And let me know what movies you want me to do eventually. So, bye-bye.